This meeting of the Citizens Advisory Committee for the Monroe County Solid Waste Management District. I will just note that this is not actually an official meeting because we were unable to advertise this in the Herald Times this past weekend. So we won't be able to take action on anything. But we can still get updates and talk about a couple of things. So I guess we have the agenda. I hope everybody can see it on their screen, though we won't be doing much of it in light of this not being an official meeting. But does anybody have up front anything they'd like to add to the agenda?
No.
All right, then we can go ahead and go forward with introductions. So I'm Rhonda Cox, and I'm the chair of the CAC. And do you want me to call on people or
That would
Paul?
probably be best.
Paul? You'll have to unmute yourself. I'll unmute you.
Okay. There, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes.
All right, I'm here.
Okay, would you just like to introduce yourself?
I'm Paul White, I'm the co-chair.
Okay, all right. We'll go with Lauren. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Lauren. I'm a member.
And Nelson? Oh, sorry. I don't know how to unmute you, or at least it's not working for me. Can you unmute yourself, Nelson?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, I am Nelson Schaefer.
Okay. Let's see who else is here. Okay, John?
John Arnold, secretary.
Okay. Lily?
Lily Kleinlein, member.
And then Tom's there somewhere.
Tom McGlaston, director of the district.
And I think that's everybody who's present. We also have Kat's here recording. Okay, so we won't be able to approve meeting minutes. We do have minutes, thanks to John, for November and January, but we can cover that at our next meeting. So we can just move on to the district update.
That was fast. Well, it's been an interesting. I don't know how long it's been at this point. 6 weeks, 4 weeks. But we are slowly but surely, operation-wise, schedule-wise, getting things back to normal. Somewhat, reliant on the what sorts of restrictions are or are not in place from the commissioner's emergency declaration and the health department's health orders that are going out. And that is just so that everybody's aware. Currently, our South Walnut facility is open Wednesday through Saturday, 7:30 to 5:30. So Tuesday is the only day not open at this time that they would otherwise be open. And the rural sites are open on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Again, Tuesday being the only day they would otherwise be open under normal situations. In addition to that, we are not at this time doing any of our reuse programs, just out of concern of doing something that could help spread the virus. We're not accepting reuse items, and we're not allowing people to take reuse items at this time. Also, the administration building at this time is closed to the public. Most of our staff is back to work in the office, almost 40 hours a week, and still doing some remote work in some situations, but the administrative staff is back, but we're still close to the public, based on based on my understanding of how things are supposed to be progressing, the beginning of June, we would probably start to allow members of the public into the administration office by appointment only. But we'll see what comes out of the commissioners meeting when they next address the emergency declaration, and what sort of a order the health department puts out in response to that. So that's where our operations are right now. But we're still trying to move things forward. Have recently had some discussions with Green Camino, given that we are starting to expand the days of operation at our facilities. Have begun discussing with them the planned rollout of the food waste collection at the other sites in addition to Bethel Lane. They're from their end, it sounds like they're ready to do that. I think they need to get some more materials to set up the drop-off spots at the sites, but that's going to be moving forward. The only facility we will not be able to do that right away at is the South Walnut facility. The State Department of Environmental Management has asked that we, in order to allow food waste collection to occur there, that we register that facility as a collection container system. And we haven't had to do that at that facility yet because we don't do anything but recycling there. The rural sites, because they accept the orange bag trash, we're already registered, so it's a much simpler process to roll it out there. But we'll get that registration submitted to item, probably a 60-day turnaround on that based on their timelines, but plans are to move forward with that and do the food waste collection at South Walnut as soon as we can.
Tom, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is there a fee associated with that container collection registration?
No, there's not for us. But for people that aren't currently using it or don't remember when we rolled out the food waste collection last time, there are some fees associated with that because it's Green Camino's program. We're in essence providing them the space to do the drop-off, the collection drop-off point, but it is a subscription service that's all done through Green Camino.
Okay, but the permit itself.
Yeah, as far as what we need to do to be able to do it at our facilities, there's no cost associated with that, just staff time and paperwork.
Okay, great.
A few other things, but if there's any questions about our schedules or operations or what direction we're going, I can take those if there's any more. If not, we can move on.
Hey, Tom, you said that right now y'all are, I'm sorry, I was trying to take notes and I wasn't writing fast enough. So what did you say your hours of operation are right now at the rural sites and stuff?
The rural sites are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
And then when do you expect it'll go back to normal operating schedule?
I really don't know. I guess one other thing that I did leave out of that earlier is that due to concerns of social distancing and whatnot, we are limiting customers on site at a time to for our purposes, the best, easiest way to control it was number of vehicles. So we're not allowing more than 8 customer vehicles inside a facility at any time at this time. So, and that has, this was discussed at the board meeting last week, because this week is the first week we've had that operation scheduled down. The issue is with limiting the number of vehicles on site at the rural sites. That requires an additional staff member that wouldn't normally be scheduled to have somebody at the gate to help control the flow of traffic. So, and then that's obviously not budgeted. And so there is some budget concerns with doing that for a long period of time, and then the additional staff member. What we've tried this week, and it seems to be working pretty well from information I've gotten back, is We just have the one person on site Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then we'll have the 2 people there on Saturday, because Saturdays tend to be the busiest day. And that staffing pattern actually would keep us within our budget. If the facilities are normally open 5 days a week, that's in essence 5 shifts a week per site. If we're open 4 days a week and have 2 people only one of those days, we're paying 5 shifts a week at each site. So that is within our budget. And so if that works, then you'll probably continue with the 4 days and until there's no longer a need to worry about limiting the number of vehicles on the site. Obviously those things are ultimately the board's decision, and as we tend to do in a variety of situations, our board is going to follow the lead of the county. So a lot of it does depend on what types of decisions are made by the commissioners and the health department with regard to the whatever guidelines, restrictions they're going to put in place on businesses operating at this time. So it's been fun.
Well, Tom, this is Lily. I just wanted to share that I got a lot of positive, excited people when you decided to reopen for taking recycling. I know the first couple weeks were really restricted, but I heard from a lot in the community that were really eager to be using the services again once you made those available. So good job. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and that we did, when the governor first issued his initial order and things were unknown, we just shut down for 2 weeks. And then we stopped taking recycling for those 2 weeks. We left the rural sites open for the orange bags. Waste disposal obviously is an essential service that people need, and so we did do that. And then after 2 weeks, the thought process was that for people to store their recyclables for a couple of weeks shouldn't have been too inconvenient for most people, and hope that they could do that. But then once it looked like things weren't going to get better, and this situation was going to go who knows where, but being a drawn out process, we figured we better start doing the recycling again before it became burdensome on people like me, who could no longer get cars in the garage because of all the recycling that was in there and so forth. But we're glad you got positive feedback on that. And I know we've gotten positive feedback, as we've made these changes throughout the process, and we've expanded more and more. Obviously, that makes people happy. It gets things a little easier and more convenient for them. Anything else on any of that before? No? Okay. And then another big thing that we have started preparing our 2021 budget, which is about this time every year, which is fun to do with not even 6 months into the current budget, but that's our timeline. That's what we're doing. So as has been in most recent years, with your next meeting scheduled for July, we'll probably have for you at that meeting at least a second, if not a third draft, hopefully a final draft of what we anticipate going to the board for approval in August, for the CAC to review, and provide your comments to the board on, which would be provided to them for them to take into account and consider before they vote on the budget. And obviously, what we present to them for approval in August, they certainly have the ability to amend at that meeting before they vote to approve it and move it forward to the council for adoption. So, and then more specifically to the CAC, and I don't need an answer, at this time. It is even if it's something that you guys feel needs a formal, a formal decision by the CAC, you could even probably do this at the July meeting, and we can make those changes before we go into the August meeting. But as you should be aware, the CAC does have a budget within our budget, at this point, my plan is to leave that the same. I think it's been it has not changed for the past 2 or 3 years. What you have budgeted is $1,000 in a line for training and education, and $500 in a line for travel, and that is usually used to send some CAC members to the IRC conference or something like that every year. This year, the IRC conference is going virtual. I still don't have all the information on it to give to you yet as to exactly when the dates will be, what the options are for attendance. But we'll certainly as soon as I get that information from the IRC, I'll pass that along to Rondi to disseminate to the group. And,
I did see a little bit about that I was just on their website last night that I could share in case it's of interest. I saw the dates they listed were June 8th through 12th, and there are different access levels that you can pay for, but there's a week pass for $199, which is, I think they're like the best value pass. And with that, you're not able to see the sessions in real time, but you can see them after that week, for the next year or so. So it seemed like the smartest one, because I don't think it's critical that if anyone we're interested that they got all that information the week of June 8th through 12th. So if they got it the following week or in the weeks to come, it could still be of value. So I did see that was how they were handling it.
Yeah, I was at a Zoom meeting with Allison Mitchell, the president of the IRC, last week, and she went through some of that stuff, and at that time it indicated they hadn't finalized exactly what kind of packages and stuff they were going to do.
Okay. Yeah.
So I've been waiting to get information from them that I could pass on to you guys as far as what different types of packages will be and cost, and what that gets you as far as participating live, getting recordings, or copies of PowerPoints and things like that. So.
And I don't recall in the past, it doesn't seem like we've had to, if someone expressed interest, I don't remember if we had to vote on sending them.
No, in the past you haven't, and I mean the money is budgeted, and unless somebody were to voice opposition about somebody or to people in general going, unless you have so many people going that it exceeds your budget limits, there shouldn't be any issue with it.
Okay, well then I'll just say when I share that information with everybody, just let me know if you have interest in going, and then I can share that back with the group who all is interested, and we could see if there was if anyone had any concerns and wanted to have a vote. Somehow we could maybe arrange a special vote or something. I don't know how we do that, but.
I think in the past it's been, since it tends to be on a weekday, there are just a lot of people that weren't able to go. And so
correct.
In all my years on the CAC, I don't think more than 2 or 3 people were able or interested. So it just never got to the point where we had to say who was going to be able to use that. But certainly if everyone wanted, then it might be a problem. But since it's usually like who can take off Tuesday or Wednesday, a smaller number could or would be willing.
True. That's a good point.
Yep. I think that's trying to rack my brain here. That's really about all that I have. I can let you guys know that for those that have been aware over the past few months and wondering or concerned, Scott Morgan is back to work. So he's full medical release, and he's back to work and getting his feet back under him, but doing pretty good. So. And
That's great to hear.
Tom,
Yeah.
Tom, I was wondering, is there any special concerns with item about having that to be the South Walnut Street facility to be a collection center, as you were talking?
No,
Any other permits for
they didn't express any. They didn't express any
environmental concerns that they'll have that are maybe going to be any kind of an issue?
No, they didn't express any. You know, they've seen the setup at Bethel Lane, so they know what we're talking about doing. And it's because the food waste collection is a new thing. And you know, they haven't, as far from a statutory perspective, you know, there's not any separate definitions regarding food waste and food waste collection like there is for some of the recycling.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm in a bad area of reception, so.
Now, can you hear me, Paul?
I can hear you if I turn my speaker thing off.
Okay. Well, anyway, no, they've not expressed concerns. It has to do with definitions of waste and trash and recycling, and that's why they want the registration done for the South Walnut facility. But they've seen the setup. They've not expressed any concerns about, you know, leachate or water runoff or anything like that from doing it at South Walnut. They make it sound more like it's just a formality. We need to submit the paperwork, let them go through their review process, and then we'll get it set up.
All right, thanks for that.
Tom, I have a question. And sorry, this is probably putting you on the spot, but did you have any information on counts or anything of rain barrels and compost bins that were purchased through the Earth Day promo? If not, that's okay.
No, I do, and I don't have it in front of me. I know that we did, I think through the online orders, we had 16 compost bins ordered, and we through an agreement with the vendor doing that, we wound up accepting delivery of 20 of them because that avoided him having to break up a pallet in essence. So we got a pallet of them that turned into 20, and actually the 4 additional ones, we sold 3 of them, and our intention all along when we agreed to take the extra ones was to keep one of them to replace the compost bin we have right outside our back door at the head of our education park that's 20-some years old and needed to be upgraded anyway. So so we wound up getting rid of all of those. And we also, I think we sold 6 rain barrels, and through the similar agreement, took 10 of them, so he didn't have to break up a pallet, and ultimately sold all of the extra rain barrels as well. So.
Yeah, I benefited from the extra rain barrels. We got a couple for our house. Finally, I have rain barrels. So. And they're already full. They were full after the first rain. I was surprised.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the numbers are certainly not what we hoped for, but I think we had some people that were excited to have that opportunity and get them. And I know that Elisa also did a Zoom meeting with the purchasers that were interested and was still able to do some of the, I don't know if you guys recall, part of the thing was going to be doing some workshops and seminars for the people that purchased them on how to set them up, and tips on composting and you know, getting the most out of your compost bin and rain barrel. And so she was able to some extent do that for the purchasers through a Zoom meeting.
Nice. So
I have a question.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. How do you prevent algae and other like biological material from building up in the rain barrels?
I would defer to Elisa on that, but I can mention that to her tomorrow and have her send an email out to you guys. She's our expert on that type of stuff, and so I'll defer to her on that because I know putting chlorine in it is not what we want to do. And
Thanks. I was curious, Tom, if you think this is something the district would do year after year or just every now and then. It seems to me if there wasn't the participation that you might have guessed, it very likely could have been with just timing with the pandemic. People had other things on their minds. So
it could have been. I mean, the beginning of January was when we started accepting orders. So I don't know that the pandemic was a concern then, but the other side of it is it's the middle of winter and people aren't thinking about composting and collecting rain, and I think it didn't discourage me from wanting to do something like that again in the future, but it makes me think that we ought to, there should be some more planning, more preparation, and making sure we time it appropriately so that people are thinking about that when we have the opportunity to order it, because as we saw in this situation with both the rain barrels and the compost bins, we had it all out there and we had about 3 months open for 3 months for ordering, and the orders closed, and then we had people suddenly find out about it and contacting us and say, well, are they still available? Can I get one? And, so I think maybe we were ahead of the game a little bit, and that was part of the problem. And it was also a deal, the brand builders that we, worked with on doing this, they kind of approached us out of the blue, and not saying that we wouldn't do something with them or a similar organization in the future, but we kind of relied on them to set up the website, set up the timeline, and all of that stuff. And based on this experience, maybe we need to have a little more input and a little more decision into the timing of it and how we process orders and stuff. So.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe opening up ordering starting in the month, in April, in the month of Earth Day, so as people are starting to think more about it, and even after Earth Day, you can still order. And that way they'd be coming in probably when people are, come in May or June or something, when people are definitely working out in their yards. I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, it didn't necessarily, discourage me from doing it again, but, I think it's something we need to put a little more planning into.
Great.
If we do it again in the future.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was a great idea, so I'm glad you're doing it. Okay, and I think that was all you had on your update, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for Tom before we move on? Okay. As for new business, we'll only be able to touch on one part of our new business. We'll have to postpone election of officers until we have an official meeting that's been published. So regarding Adopt a Road, I put that on there because we just keep kind of floating it from season to season. It just hasn't worked out. But I don't know if anyone would even be comfortable or if it's even appropriate to do it now. So I was curious, Tom, if any groups are doing Adopt a Road, or if the district is saying hold off for now until things die down with COVID, or
we've actually in the past couple of months we have not had any groups want to go out, and it's something that we've thought about, and because if we do it, we have to make sure that the vests in particular, but the signs and the barricades and so forth, get properly cleaned and disinfected between groups. And it's not something that we have formally said no to because we haven't had a need to at this point.
And I think also the concern is then, you know, touching trash that someone may have just thrown out of their car, you know, the day before or that day.
Do the gloves and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe instead of the knit gloves that we have, maybe we make nitrile gloves available that are a little less, more impervious than the knit gloves are.
That's a good idea.
And so, but you know, if you know, the way things sit right now, if the CAC, you know, wants to go out in the next month or two, we can accommodate that. But it's
So I guess,
totally your decision.
okay. So I guess I'll open it up just to see what everyone on the CAC thinks. When do you think you'd be comfortable going out? I'm not saying I'm ready. I just, I don't want to forget about our Adopt a Road stretch. I want to keep it on our minds for when it's appropriate, but.
We live out by Lake Monroe, and there are a ton of people out here all the time, even though they're not supposed to be, and all the parking lots are closed, they're parking on the side of the road, and it's just crazy. And so, you know, maybe in like June or July, we could look at doing something like out towards this area, since so many people are flocking to the lake whenever the weather's nice.
Oh, do you mean a different stretch of road from what we normally do?
Oh, I guess.
Oh, okay, because we actually have a dedicated stretch of road. It's on South Walnut from, what is it, Roar Road, you know, where the big Kroger is, south to just before
Not
Fairfax.
quite to Fairfax, yeah.
So that's our stretch that we own, or what, not own, but you know, we're assigned
Oh,
to. Mhm.
I've always, like, every time we drive by and I see trash on the side of the road heading to the house, you know, as we go past the lake, I'm always saying to myself, me and the kids need to get out and pick this up. We need to get out and pick this up. So
Yeah, I know,
probably
it's a
do that
shame.
on my own.
So I guess, is this something that everyone would rather maybe revisit in our July meeting? Rather than trying to schedule now when there's too much unknown? Any thoughts?
I vote to wait.
Okay. All right. So that's fine with me. And that's all I had regarding Adopt a Road. I guess all I could say on election of officers is just, you know, for next month when we definitely have this published, or who knows, maybe we could be meeting in person. I have no idea what July will look like, but I mean, it's possible that we'll be meeting by Zoom again. But we'll make sure that we can vote. So be thinking, if you're interested in serving chair, vice chair, or secretary, or if there's someone you think you'd like to nominate, you might want to talk with them first. But if you would think about that. Also, I suppose if you know of anybody, as always, if you know of anyone who would like to join the CAC, that's always something to encourage people to do, because our numbers are a little light right now. That's all I have there. I don't believe we have any representatives of the public. Let me scroll through and see. I can't do one all at once. So no public input to be had. All right. So our next meeting is July 16th, and I'll keep you posted on whether it will be in person or by Zoom. I'd imagine that even if we do decide to meet in person, we could also make a Zoom option available. I'd have to look into that to be certain, but it seems like a possibility. So, all right. Anything else for the good of the order? All right. Well, thank you. It was good to see everybody, and we'll talk again in July.